Welcome to Frugal Family Gardens. My name is Julie and we are doing some gardening. We're going to get out there and show you all the things that I got done yesterday. I worked late into the evening, probably overdid it again. But what I'm figuring is if I don't completely crash, then I will get used to this effort. And it's good exercise. My muscles are definitely telling me this is a great workout. So I want to talk about what we're focusing on this year. I have a habit of getting impatient and wanting to just color everything with flowers and blooms and fabulousness without dealing with structure, foundations, things that desperately need to be finished, repaired, done away with, completed, whatever. So when it comes to my time, my energy, and my limited financial resources, they tend to go into new, gorgeous plants. Not this year. This is my commitment right now to you and to me. That is not what we're doing this year. This year, any time, energy, or money will be put into finishing the projects that we've already started, tending to and nurturing the plants we've already bought, paid for, and put into our yard, and putting the money that we have into those bigger projects that desperately need doing. For instance, the fence. We have got to get a fence up on our north-facing side of our property. It is time to pay for the survey, get our property line properly defined, and then start getting some bids on a fence. It's time. It's got to be done. We are going to be getting the city, getting in contact with them to tear out those messed up sidewalks in our front yard because of, where the tree did all the damage. We're going to be tearing down that horrible, just atrocious mailbox, giant dinosaur turd looking thing that the couple owners before us constructed. It's time. We're going to be tearing down the rock wall. Yes. This rock wall, it's got to come down. The kids and we're going to do that ourselves. Yes, we are tearing it down. We are doing the demo ourselves. We're not going to put in the new fence ourselves. We are going to invest in having it done professionally and properly. Will I miss this little rock wall? Yes, I will. But the best way to have a good relationship with your neighbors is to have a solid, sturdy, noise-proof fence so that their garbage is not coming into your yard, and neither is their music. And I am so excited for that. Finishing projects. We have so many things that need to be finished, and we have plants that need to be moved into places where they will be happier. And we've spent time and money on them, whether we bought them or acquired them. We've put in water to keep them alive. It's time to move them into places that make sense. For instance, this rose bush, I put it here to my husband's eternal chagrin because it's planted basically right where our sprinkler lines go through. It was this wacky attempt I had at privacy. I thought, I'll just, run this climber or creeper all along this fence. No, we're not doing that. I am looking into this really nice garden fabric, fencing fabric that I saw when I was dropping Olivia off at school today. I am going to order some of that. And so we will get some privacy on that side of the yard. I had also thought of putting up a nice big stone fence all the way around the yard, including there. I don't think that's what I'm going to do. I think for now, it just makes sense to put up the fabric. I think it will do the job. Is that me saying that I'm going back to my old habits of not just investing right away in the right thing? I don't think so, because if we put up a rock fence, which is what we're going to do on the north side, if we put that up all the way around, we lose some of our yard to the fence, because it's going to be probably a foot wide. And so we will lose all of that property. So I don't think that that's necessary on the sides of the yard that are already fenced in. It just doesn't. And I'm going to be planting in several areas more of the arborvitaes, the Christmas trees, as James calls them, and having that green, that live fencing there. And I'm going to be replacing trees on the other side where I've got them growing. It's going to be interesting to see how it turns out when we have the survey done. Will these Christmas trees have to come out? That would suck. That would be terrible. Hopefully that won't be the case. Hopefully we'll, if anything, have to trim them back or something. If not, I've got to save them. They have so many years, so much time that we've put into them, and they're so beautiful. Hopefully we can avoid that. But the priority is, regardless of what has to be done, the fence has to go in this year. It's happening. It is time. We have been in this house for 13 years. It's time to get this stuff done that just desperately needs doing. Other house things we'll be working on throughout the year, finishing projects in the house and around the house. But for now, through the summer, it's this stuff in the yard. It's eradicating these horrible weeds, these things that I planted without thinking, without knowing what I was planting and the damage it could cause. I don't plant anything anymore without knowing best practices, without knowing that plant's habits, because I have learned some painful lessons along the way. So eradicating stuff, going to be working hardcore on that. Putting in pathways that desperately need to be done. Going to put my time and energy and resources into getting those things going rather than indulging in my normal love of more flowers, more plants, more fun, and trying to just squeeze it all in there and soak in the color and the fun while underneath it all, the foundations are just completely crumbling. That's not what we're doing this year. No. So I'm going to get out there and I'm going to get to work, and we'll show you what we end up getting done today. Also, later today, the kids and I are going over to my mom and grandparents, and we are going to show them how to prune fruit trees. Yeah, my daddy, rest in peace, he taught me how to prune fruit trees, and it's something I love to do, and I'm excited to share that with my mom and my grandpa. Yeah, who knew that you could teach the past generations, the older generations, some of these kinds of things? I didn't know that they didn't know how. And so I am thrilled and excited to get to go and do that with them, which also motivates and inspires me to prune my own fruit trees and bring you along for it and maybe give you a couple of tips that I learned from my dad, who spent years and years and years pruning fruit trees, whether, at home on the ranch in Mexico or, as a migrant worker in California back in the, the 70s. So let's get out there, let's get to work, and let's figure some stuff out, yeah? And let's get some stuff done. As a gardener, I have had to accept a few things about myself and my yard and where I live and other things. But let's talk about the things I've had to accept about myself. Some of you will know that I do struggle with several physical frustrations. I don't like the word disability because I like to focus on what I am able to do versus what I'm not able to do. But I do have to work with and accept and even embrace my own physical limitations. Let's call it that, limitations. And when I was out there chopping at the box hedge, now it would have helped if I would have oiled my clippers. That would have helped a little. But at the end of the day, these are the hands that I have, and they can only do as much as they can do. And my fellow autoimmune disease sufferers who deal with this kind of arthritis will understand that it got to a point where I had to it was either I was going to accept and embrace the situation and find a solution, or sit down on the ground and cry. Well, no gardening gets done by just sitting on the ground and crying. So yes, I did a very rough chop of the hedges. We got them from way overgrown to kind of butchered, which is fine because a lot of them I'm going to be moving them to better places and to places that make more sense, or just even getting them evened out and planted properly in their current home. So it's okay. We needed to trim back the growth and get some of them ready for transplant and others to start focusing their energy on spreading out. But it looks horrible. And by the end of what I accomplished, my hands were in a horrible state. So what did I do? I invested in a new toy that I should have done ages ago. It's a hedge trimmer. It's time. The other thing that I'm going to do, along with using this, which will save my hands, but to do it properly, to do the job right, which is the focus this year, I am going to get sticks and string, which I already have. I'm just honestly too impatient. I don't like the word lazy because I am absolutely not a lazy person. I'm just a very impatient person. I am going to take the time to set up the stakes and the string and get it level so that as I'm trimming with my new hedge trimmer, we'll get some nice, beautiful results. It takes more in the setup process, takes more time and energy there, but overall, in the long run, it ends up costing you less in energy and time and money and frustration. So super excited for this. Once I have gotten the hedges moved, because that's the next big project, and I've got to let my hands rest just a little bit, then I will go ahead and go over the whole thing, all of the hedges with my new hedge trimmer. You get to a point where you just have to say, okay, this is the hand I've been dealt. This is the property I own. These are the conditions where I live. Whatever it is that you need to accept, embrace it. And find ways to make these weaknesses into strengths, or to find adaptations or solutions so that you can keep doing that thing that you love. I'm allergic to everything out there. On the way home from the store today, as I had bags of compost and topsoil in my car, even those, I had to have the windows open because my allergies were going crazy. Yes, even from that. The things that I love the most, I am so allergic to, and my body, it fights me every day. This body that I love and I honor and I appreciate, and it does the best it can, but it also is destroying itself. So we have a love-hate, very complicated relationship. It's time to work with my body rather than against it. And I'm working on doing that. I'm also trying to work with my garden rather than against it. And another thing that I have not done well over the last many years is to put money into the right place. Again, I love brand new flowers and plants and fun, but I'm getting better now at researching those plants and those flowers and figuring out where they should go and what are the best ways to take care of them, and then actually taking care of them. And to that end, I did pick up several bags of mulch and topsoil because these front gardens, they are still beautiful. They always are really quite lovely, but they've never been what they could be, what they should be. And it's because I have not nurtured them the way that I should, because it takes time and it takes energy, and I just want immediate results, and I am terribly impatient. This year, we are clearing out all the weeds and everything that needs doing. We are turning over soil as we're able. With a lot of things already established, that does get a little tricky. But the soil that can be turned over, we are turning it over, and we're going to mix in all of this fabulous topsoil. And then I've got 4 bags of mulch so far, but I'm going to get probably 10 more. And we're going to do mulch. I'm not kidding. We're doing it like this thick, because there will be a couple of times during late spring and summer that I will be traveling. And something that I've run into again and again is plants that I have invested time and money into, they die. And that money and that energy, that is just completely wasted, because I went off somewhere, and even if I had someone watering, they're not doing it maybe the way that I would do it, or as much as should be done, or whatever. Getting enough mulch, enough of that to keep the soil moist or warm or cool or whatever it happens to need, that layer of mulch, that huge layer of mulch, that is going to protect those plants. They might wilt a little, the flowers, might die off, but the plant itself will live through my, 3 to 5 day little vacation where those plants are being neglected. Putting in the foundations and doing the work that it takes and investing in the things that are necessary to keep those investment plants alive and thriving. That's what we're focusing on this year. So we will be getting that done this week. Throughout the weekend, getting all of the soil turned over as can be done, and deeply weeded, and all of that topsoil and all of that mulch put out. There's a lot to do. I'm getting back to work. Talking a little more about how I have jumped into temporary solutions without really thinking them through. Well, yeah, the fence. I was talking about that earlier. And this bamboo sheeting is one of the many sad attempts that I made at covering the fence. And every windstorm would blow it off and I'd have to reattach and it would all get destroyed. And I'm still going to use this bamboo fencing. I paid for it. So something else I'm pretty proud of that I've started doing is my journal. This is one of my gardening journals. I started with just this little tiny one that one of our fabulous frugal friends sent us on our main channel, the Frugal Family. I'm just taking it a day at a time and writing down, okay, this is what I got done today. These are the notes I'm taking from Gardener's World or whatever other gardening show I'm watching. I am a self-taught and video-taught gardener. And so I take notes. If there's something that I'm like, oh, hey, that's a solution to this problem that I had, or that's why that thing didn't work out, or hey, that would be great. Then I go ahead and I write it down. I write what things are on the list that I need to invest in, projects that need to be done. What I love doing is writing down the stuff I got accomplished, but it also is helping me by doing this and taking photos and doing a photo journal. It's giving me an idea, okay, this is when I sprinkled the seeds here. This is when I did this trimming. This is when I did this feeding. And I hope that by going this extra mile and having like a grand master plan for what I need to do and having, my little lists and stuff like that, and then also writing down all the things that I did go ahead and get done, that it will help keep me on track. It'll help keep me organized. It'll help me to get stuff done and accomplished, and also be good for me as I'm learning. Because like I said, yes, I'm self-taught. I learn from watching videos and from trial and error. Lots of error, lots of experimenting and learning as I go. And maybe this will be helpful in the future as I learn from, the things that I've done and have a paper trail and a timeline of when I tried those things and how that all shaped out or shaped up or whatever. Anyway, so there's that. I'm excited to see if that is helpful. Please tell me, do you keep a gardening journal or a photo journal or anything like that? On my shows that I watch, specifically Gardener's World, they show how in these Victorian gardens and other historic gardens, there are books and books and books of all the plans and lists of plantings that these gardeners and garden designers that they put together, and they kept like meticulous notes. And I think that is so fantastic. It'll also be helpful when I do out maps, as the bulbs die off, they've done their thing and their season and they die off. If I'm wanting to add something else to that garden, I've got a map and I know, well, okay, yes, you can plant something in this area, but just keep in mind, Julie, that there are hyacinths right here. So beware and be careful and cautious when you're going to add some other, perennial or annual in this spot. Know that those are there and watch out for them. I'm excited to see how this all contributes to a healthier, happier, more productive, and more beautiful garden situation. I did some shaping and some trimming, lots of cleaning up. I got this juniper shaped. It's going to take a couple of years before it, starts filling in, but that's up to me to stay on top of it and continue trimming it so that the energy is put into filling it out and thickening it rather than into, growing different places. My espalier, my attempt at an espaliered peach tree, I have pretty much given up on. I am going to trim that down and move it elsewhere. I'm not sure where yet, but I'm just not loving where it is and how it's turned out. It was a great experiment, and now it's time to move on. But I do want to keep the peach tree because I love peaches. We love peaches, so I just need to find a new home. Then over here in the grape arbor, I have decided this is going to be a great spot once everything fills in and with the other things that I have planned for this this area, this will be a great spot for some shade plants, some ferns and some hostas and maybe even some bleeding hearts, things like that. I think will fit perfectly in this area. I had other things going on here before and that just didn't work out because they weren't getting enough sun. So I've moved this wooden box that I made, moved that out of there. And I will be planting some shade plants there. Maybe some of the ones that I took from the front yard shade garden, because it's going to be a while before our new bigger shade garden gets developed. And so why not add some of these in and get them started and established here under the grape arbor. Some other things I do have going on. You guys know that we are the Frugal Family and we like to recycle and upcycle and try to reduce any negative impacts on like the environment, our carbon footprint, et cetera, et cetera. Try to practice what we preach. And so I got a new mattress and Reagan got a new mattress and Olivia got a new mattress. So we have mattresses that we are not taking to the dump. Oh, no. Olivia wants to have some friends over. And so in order to have that happen, we have chores that have to be done. And we have a system in our house where you've got to earn special privileges because my kids need to know how to work and be productive members of society. And so one of the tasks that she is going to be taking on is chopping up these mattresses, the fabric parts and all the fluffy stuff. She's going to chop all that up and get rid of all of that. And then these mattress frames, what we could do is recycle them, which is what we chose to do with Olivia's old mattress, but we've still got Mommy and Daddy's mattress and Reagan's mattress. And we have the box spring, which I already cleaned that up. That was from our bed because we traded out for a new solid metal one. Well, not solid, but metal framed one with none of the floofy or the fabric or the springs or anything. I already got that one ready, but Olivia is going to clean up the other two. And those we are going to move out into the Wonderland. And I'm going to stake them with some of the step-in fence posts. And those I will be adding probably to the grape arbor and then also using them in some way that I'm still working out in my head that will involve posts and cement and some other things to grow our tomatoes and maybe some gourds or pumpkins, things like that out in the Wonderland. I'm pretty excited for this opportunity. Now we could absolutely just recycle them. But you guys know I have not been doing a lot of metal recycling. I don't have room to put metal recycling while I wait till I have enough to make it worth the trip to the metal recycling plant. So why not go ahead and use them? And instead of buying trellises for these things that I need to do, just use what I already have. Why not? It absolutely makes sense. Stay tuned. I do have the fence posts ordered, but I won't be picking those up for a few days. We've got to get the mattresses done first anyway. So the things I come up with, hopefully it all turns out. Either way, success or failure, I will of course show you and tell you. So after pruning my black peach tree that my uncle gave me and halfway pruning my apple tree, I went and pruned trees for my mom and my grandparents for 3 hours. Suffice to say, I'm dead this morning. I did have breakfast and coffee and was able to take some ibuprofen. The kids have been amazing at massaging my hands and feet, but oh my God, it was too much. But while I was at it, I was sore, and look, I'm all chopped up. I've got to wear long sleeves when I'm doing that kind of stuff. This is ridiculous. I was wearing gloves, just not long sleeves, and my arms are just absolutely a mess. Anyway, while I was doing it, there was the adrenaline and the sense of purpose, and I wanted to get it done, and definitely overdid it. Yeah, it was too much. My mom and my grandparents helped how they could, but they are still dealing with some of the after effects of COVID, especially my grandpa, who still has to use oxygen, and my grandma has very limited physical ability, and my mom, her asthma was crazy, and so it really did come down to me doing it, and which I was happy to do, and it's my pleasure to do. But at the same time, with these crunchy old hands, it was a bit much. And I only had Reagan and Mariah with me. They did a great job of helping gather up all the branches and the sticks, and they were amazing for that. And I'm so glad that we went and did it. Many of you know that I believe in doing everything we can to help our family and make a difference while we're alive, because it's all that I know that we have. And not going to get any more into it than that, but that's my belief system. And so I try to make as big a difference as I can, and let people know that they are loved, and that they are worth my time while I'm alive and while they are alive. But unfortunately, sometimes that drives me to totally overdo it and not work within my body's limitations. And that's absolutely what happened. And I am just absolutely broken this morning. So I'm going to heat up my paraffin wax bath and do a wax bath for my hands. I have so many things in the yard that I want to do, especially as we have some traveling coming up. So there's stuff that has to get done before we go, because there's going to be some warm days, and the plants, they've come out of hibernation and they need some love and attention. And the topsoil needs to get done. The mulching needs to get done. But before I can do those, I have to work on getting that creeping Jenny or whatever it is out of the beds that need the mulching. And that all requires hands. I'm going to have my kids out there helping, under my guidance as much as possible, because we got to get it done. I've always been a very independent person. I want to do it myself, and I want it done the way I want it done. I am having to face the facts that I have to delegate. And it's good for my kids anyway. It's good for them to work. It's good for them to help. I understand that, and I'm passing on knowledge to them, which is wonderful. But it's hard for me personally, having always been a very independent, determined person. Yeah, it's hard. But I'm going to rest for a while longer. Then I'm going to go do the wax bath thing, maybe even do like some muscle rub on my hands, and then put on, some like cosmetic gloves, and let them, just heal for a little while. It's a step at a time. It's a project at a time. But yes, I've got to listen to my body better, and I've got to delegate. That's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for coming along for our gardening adventures. Stay tuned, and we'll just show you as things are happening and we're getting them done slowly but surely, and how it's all turning out. Bye-bye.